Today is a very sad day. It's one of those days where I'm going to be sharing a very, very upsetting comment on my channel. It's all about how not to be heard. There's nothing worse in life than feeling like you don't have a voice. Believe me, I've been there. So today, that's what we're talking about. And I'm not talking about losing your voice because you're being vocally abusive or shouting or getting into a theme park and screaming your head off. It's literally and figuratively in life, you don't feel you have a voice. Your voice is not heard. You don't count. You don't matter. There is nothing worse than that. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I've also got a prize that I'd like to give away because of this to win 4 weeks of coaching with me to change all that. So stay tuned. Good morning, everybody. It's 𝐲𝐬𝐬𝐻, holistic voice and presentation coach. And today it's all about people on my channel and the things that they're struggling with. It's no exception. Today is Wednesday here in Sydney, Australia, and it's Q&A Wednesday, which means that we are going to cover any questions that you have around voice. Now, this is the very first one that I was telling you about that is very, very disturbing. Now, to be honest, there's so many comments on my channel. It's very hard for me to get through them. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of comments. And sometimes when one stands out like that, it just grabs me in the heart and makes me really want to help. So today's comment, even though I'm not going to tell you who it's from, excuse me, to protect their privacy, oh my goodness, just trying to get rid of that mucus on my chest left over from my virus. But what I'm going to do today is share his struggle with you, which is very, very real. So have a look at this. It's quite long and it might trigger you, so be very careful. This is the first part. My voice is too low that even people near me can't hear my voice. Some people make fun of me, saying that my voice is like I'm talking from inside a cave. People ask me to repeat myself all the time. The second part is my opinions are unheard, so much so that I'm losing interest in speaking altogether. This is a massive issue. It's an issue that is unfortunately rife in the world. It comes usually from the places that we grew up. For example, our family conditioning and the way that we were growing up in the family dynamic, but also very much so culturally speaking. So, for example, for me and my family, I grew up in a British Caucasian family in Australia, raised mostly in Australia. But because our background, culture, and history is English, Irish, Scottish, we grew up in a situation where it was like children were seen and not heard. You have to always value and respect your elders and keep your mouth shut, behave, sit down, shut up, all that sort of stuff. It was very normal to grow up in the 60s and 70s like that, like it was for many other people in probably the 40s, 50s, and 60s, all brought over to the new generations. Now, even though that may not happen so much anymore, the problem is this: it's still left over from other generations. And if your parents were raised in that way, you may have the same experience that your parents would raise you in the same way. This is just like leftover patterning and conditioning from our past. But there's also cultures, excuse me, around the world that are not encouraged to speak up and speak out. And I see this with many of my clients from other cultures and other countries. Now, when they move to Australia or America or Canada, where freedom of speech is encouraged, it's encouraged to speak up and speak out, they still have that feeling of being uncomfortable about being seen and being heard. So this is a very important topic that we're covering today. Let's dive into why people don't listen and why this is an issue. Now, if you are watching this live on Facebook, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, welcome. It's lovely to have you here. And make sure that you pop into the comments and let me know where you are watching from today. If you're watching this on replay, please just put #replay, and I come back to this platform and I answer questions from the platform. Now, today, because we have a prize, what I want to do, regardless of whether you're watching this on the replay, I'll keep this up for about 48 hours, or whether it's live, I want you to put #TheVoiceClub underneath, and you'll hear more about that in a second. So let's jump into why people don't listen and why people can't hear you in the first place. There's a few very simple things that you can do to change this. Now, today we're not going to be talking about psychology, even though that is the major contributing factor to this problem. Many people come to me with ostensibly a voice issue that they want to solve in private lessons or in my group classes or in my membership program. They might come to me with complaints such as people can't understand me, or I mumble, I have a robotic voice, I'm boring when I speak, something like that. But the problem is, when I deep dive into really what's happening with their voice, yes, there's some technical aspects that are not serving them. But the major part of it is psychology. If you were raised in a situation where you were seen and not heard, and people didn't value and respect you, well, you are in a habit of keeping your mouth shut. You're in a habit of maybe speaking down here in your throat so people can't hear you, or you get into trouble. Psychology is a massive, massive indicator when it comes to a voice issue or a voice problem that you don't like. So let's move into the actual tangible aspects of how you can fix that for a second. Excuse me, a little bit of leftover mucus from my sickness the last few weeks. Okay, here, sound quality, volume and articulation. The very first question, going back to this for a second, so just in case you're catching up, my voice is so low that even people near me can't hear my voice. Some people make fun of me, saying that my voice is like I'm talking inside a cave. They ask me to repeat myself all the time. My opinions are unheard, so much so that I'm losing interest altogether in speaking. This is what we're dealing with today here. So if you resonate with this, if this is something that feels near and dear to your heart, please pop it in the chat. And if you have any questions about the content, please just let me know. I'm happy to help. While I'm live, I'm going to be answering all the questions live. Now, the first problem is this: sound quality. If people can't hear you properly, it's usually due to two things. One is volume, how much volume you use when you speak. Now, the very first part of that is an argument that I've had many times with students, not an argument, but a discussion. People say to me, but it feels so loud in my head when I'm speaking. Right now, I feel and sound loud in my head, but to you, it probably seems that I'm speaking in a normal volume, like in a volume that is normal for a daily conversation, right? Because I am. However, I have ramped it up a little bit just to make sure that the camera and the microphone picks me up and you can hear me very clearly. Now, people sometimes feel that bone conduction in their head is so loud and so vibratory that they assume they're speaking at a loud enough pitch for other people to hear them. But it may not be true. Here's the thing. As we get older too, we lose the ability to hear certain frequencies. So some frequencies for us may be dampened over time. So after the age of, say, 40, our hearing changes. Of course, everything changes. We're getting older and we're starting to fall apart. Oh my God. Yes. But here's the thing. You've got to understand that if you're speaking to somebody who might have a bit of a hearing deficit because of their age, you have to change things up a little bit. And the pitch and the articulation and the volume are the very first things that you need to ramp up. Now, in a noisy environment, of course, or if you have a very strong accent, you might need to pay a little bit more attention to those things as well. So number one is ask yourself whether you are speaking at a volume that is right for the audience that you're speaking with or to. So for example, if you're in a boardroom and you have a big boardroom table with say 10 or 12 people around it, and you're at the top of the table giving a presentation, you're going to need to ramp it up. You're going to need your big girl voice to project all the way to the back of the room. Otherwise, people will not listen to you if they struggle to hear. This is the reason I put together that guide, why people don't listen and how to change that in 5 easy steps, is because these are the most common things that happen. People don't realize the things that make people switch off. It's simply this. Write this down. Don't make people work too hard. It's very simple. But if you don't know the premise of what's behind that statement, it may not make any sense to you until after this training. So watch out for the free guide and also for the prize at the end. Now, sound and articulation, volume and articulation. You must track how loud you are. If you have a decibel meter on your phone, it's free. You can download them. What you can do, excuse me, this is very annoying. What you can do is see how loud you're speaking at a regular volume. So for example, if I measured, oh my goodness, it wasn't there this morning. That's really weird. Excuse me for 1 second. We just got to get rid of this. Sorry about that. This is very annoying today. Is my camera good? Okay, good. Now getting back to volume for a sec. Thank you. And sorry about that interruption. If you measure how loud you're speaking, you need to be at least a 55 decibel range for normal everyday speech. However, projected speech is 75 at least. So why don't you download a decibel meter and have a little play with it? See if that's making any difference to the way that you speak. So you need to be loud enough for the task at hand. If you're having coffee with a friend, it's probably not going to be an issue. But if you're at work or in a social situation with noise, competing noise, you have to ramp it up a bit. So volume, ramp it up. Number one. Number two is people don't understand how the articulators work. It is very, very important that you use your articulation, your teeth, your tongue, your lips, and your jaw. Now, when you're using your articulators very mindfully, like I'm doing now, I'm not overshaping my mouth and working too hard, not on the outside. We don't want to be Hermione Granger in Harry Potter 1, where everything was over-articulated. Harry Potter. We don't want to do that because it's going to sound and feel a bit stupid when you speak, and you're not going to keep it up, are you? Absolutely not. So what you need to do is work on the inside, not on the outside. When I'm speaking, I'm using my teeth, my tongue, and my lips to shape the sound, really working them hard. So my mindset, my focus is all about how clear am I being for the person that's listening to me? And also, am I giving enough volume so that they can hear me clearly as well? So you have to fix those two issues first before we move on to the next one. Let's go over. Good morning. Good morning. It's so nice to see you. And I'm not sure who this is, but they chimed in earlier. It's nice to have you here and welcome to the show today. Let's go back to the banners. So volume and articulation is first. And next, we've got pitch. Now, this is a big one because people don't even think about speaking at the right pitch. But here's the thing. If you're speaking at a pitch that's too high, it might be too airy or too weak. And it puts you in a position where some people might perceive you, not all, but some people might perceive you as a little weak and insecure because you're speaking at a high pitch with too much airflow. That's what tends to happen when we are perceived as weak and insecure. It's usually the wrong pitch and the wrong airflow. It's a technical thing, I know, but all we're worried about here or concerned about is the perception of the listener. It doesn't matter whether it's true or not because perception is reality. It doesn't matter if you are confident or not. If you're perceived by the other person, by your boss, by your peers, by your colleagues, if you're perceived as underconfident, nobody's going to listen to you or value your opinions. So pitch is very important. When we find the right pitch, the voice cleans itself up and has this resonant quality. It's a bell-like quality that cuts through the noise and makes it easier to hear. Let me give you an example here. Years ago, when I had terrible voice damage as a very young and inexperienced singer, I was working, I think, about between 4 and 7 gigs a week, like seriously. And I was a single parent working my ass off, doing 4 to 7 gigs a week. Now, even that wasn't really enough to pay the bills as a single parent, paying everything all by myself between the ages of 18 to 25. So I had to get other jobs on top of that. So what I did as an entertainer, as a performer, I did what I knew. I did jobs that required public speaking because I'd been on stage pretty much all my life. So I did, like, welcome to the store today. We have 20% off, blah, blah, blah. I would stand outside speaking on a microphone, drawing people into a store, things like that were pretty easy for me because I was already a public speaker, if you like. The biggest problem was, not only was I singing those 7 gigs a week, but I was also talking at the wrong pitch and the wrong volume with the wrong airflow. Now, I didn't know that at the time, of course, but over years, a few years later, I had no voice, like literally no voice because of the way that I was speaking. The biggest issue that I had was I was forcing my voice at a low pitch. Because I grew up very quickly in the entertainment industry, I adopted a pitch that was very throaty and very low and tried to sound more adult too quickly. And then when I was pushing, forcing, and squeezing that pitch through my throat muscles, I blew out my vocal folds very, very quickly and lost my voice. It was a very expensive lesson. I ended up having lots of things getting in the way for the next couple of years, but for 6 months, I'd literally had to retrain and start from scratch. And one of the most important things that I learned is figure out the right pitch for you. It turned out that that pitch that I was using was way too low for my little tiny young larynx that needed to be bright and up here. That's where I should have been speaking, because that sound cuts through. It's much easier for me to place it here in the mask and travel it forward to the ears of the listener. It was a very expensive lesson, and it cost me a lot of gigs because I had to give up singing for quite a few months to get back my voice back and get back into health. And my confidence took a massive hit too. So when we have a quote unquote voice issue, we've got to understand that there's a psychological component as well as a technical component. Both of them are going to have some sort of impact on your voice. You've got to figure out which way to go. So let's jump over to the comments for a second. Hi, Milo. Nice to see you here. Welcome. You are so welcome. It's lovely to have you here. Thank you so much. If you've got, hope you're feeling better. I hope you're feeling better. I hope that virus hasn't still got hold of you. Oh my God, it was so bad. Most evil virus. I couldn't breathe for 3 weeks. I thought I was going to die. It was just so bad. I hope you don't have that, but I hope you're feeling better. Sending you lots of love. Big hugs. Now let's go back to, so we've covered pitch and we've covered volume. Volume and articulation. Now we've moved on to pitch. So if you have any questions about volume and articulation and pitch, please pop it in the chat now because I'm here to help. Now, the last one is resonance. Now, this all goes hand in hand, of course, but if I speak, say, like Tony Robbins or Grant Cardone, from the throat, like pushing, squeezing, and forcing from my throat, it wouldn't really matter what pitch I'm using. I'm going to blow out my voice because pushing, forcing, and squeezing your throat muscles to force that voice out is never the right thing to do. It's never the right thing. It doesn't matter about any pitch or volume after that. You're going to blow out your voice very quickly. And that's why Tony Robbins, who's almost about the same age as me, has literally no voice. like no voice left. It's ripped to shreds. He's ripped his vocal folds into shreds, like literally. That's what he was told by his voice therapist. So now he can sort of push and force and squeeze some sound out for one day at a time. And then he has to rest for a whole 24 hours because he cannot speak on that second day until he has a full rest. Now, luckily, I've got 2 students who are major speakers for Tony Robbins. So they pop onto the stage. They've got a little bit better technique around speaking, and they can actually carry his content through over the next couple of days for him so he can save his voice. It's so important. Without your voice, you can't really have a full and rich life. Think about it. It's not about the voice loss here. This is not important right now. What we're talking about is the feeling that you don't have a voice in life. There's nothing worse than going to your grave with regrets. Why didn't I speak up? Why didn't I speak my truth? Why didn't I say something in that meeting instead of keeping my mouth shut? Why didn't I have better conversations with my wife and now she's left me? Blah, blah, blah. Your voice is your best asset in life and business. Look after it. Learn how to use your instrument to your best ability. Because if you don't, your life is going to suffer in a major, major way. And you know what? I see this with my students all the time. They blow it in job interviews. They blow it on camera. They blow it when they're asking for a promotion or asking for a raise because they're not using their instrument to their benefit. They're letting themselves down because of the way they speak. They're letting their voice get in the way of what they have to say. So be very careful. This is your best representation of you. So I'd like to ask you, are you fully representing yourself to the 100% best version of you that you can possibly be? If you're not, you need to start working on your communication. Super, super important. Let's jump over to the comments. You are so welcome. Here's Milo. I still don't have my normal voice back, but at least people can hear me now. Yes, that's really, really good. And hello, it's nice to see. Salam, hello, good evening to you. It's lovely to have you here. Thank you for joining us here live on YouTube. It's so lovely to have you here. So just to do a quick recap, and then I'm going to tell you about something very exciting that's coming up. Oh my God, I'm so happy about this. Number one, we're going to go back to what's important, like why people don't listen to you is because you're making them work too hard. Remember I said that earlier. If you missed that, please go and see the replay. If people don't listen, if people can't hear you, it may not be what you think. The simple fact is this: don't make your audience work too hard. When I was working with one of my VIP clients yesterday, I was training him and I gave him a little improvised piece of content and I asked him to speak that out loud and, make up content for about 1 minute around this little piece. Now, when he started and he opened his mouth to start doing that, I couldn't follow it because it was so convoluted and mixed up with all the information. It was almost like having a jigsaw puzzle. Jigsaw puzzle in all the pieces just scattered, and all the pieces were just scattered all over the floor. And so I couldn't make head or tails of the picture of what he was trying to get at. When we speak in such a convoluted way with sentence construction that doesn't make sense, it's very hard for people to follow you. They're going to get bored. They're going to switch off. So we've got to put that jigsaw puzzle together in a very simplistic way to make sure that people can follow every word you say. Super important. This is why people don't listen, because you're making them work too hard. So figure out what you need to do to clear that up. And here are the 3 things that we covered today. Sound quality. Your volume and your articulation is first. People will listen more if they can hear you clearly and they can understand every word. They won't get as bored at all. Number 2 is pitch. Make sure that you find a pitch that works for your voice. You don't want to have a lazy, throaty pitch down here. It's not going to serve you. You need to find a pitch that really cuts through that noise and gets into the ears of the listener. And the last one is resonance. I didn't go through this one. Let me give you a little bit more information about resonance. When we are pushing from the wrong pitch, the wrong volume, the wrong place, it doesn't feel or sound very clear. But when we are bringing the sound up to the mask, hi, you can hear a clear tone to my voice instead of ah. Instead of a throaty, airy, scratchy, gravelly tone. You don't want your voice to sound gravelly, or I call it splayed. When something's splayed, like Gollum. Is that Gollum from the Lord of the Rings? Gollum. He's got this really splayed, sort of raspy sound. It's not clear. People can't hear you properly when it's not clear. So resonance is very important, especially if you have naturally a bit of a soft voice or you've got some damage on your vocal folds. See if you can find, and I don't mean speak in your nose because that's really annoying to speak in your nose. All that happens is like my jaw doesn't open and everything goes in my nose. It's not just nasal resonance, it's resonance all around this place. In fact, the most important place to feel resonance is here. Above the teeth, behind the top teeth, into the hard palate, and in the soft palate, which is back behind the hard palate. So the hard palate is first, right near the teeth, and then the soft palate is in the back. If you can get that sound up in that palate, it's like, whee! It's like singing in a beautiful church with a very high ceiling and beautiful resonance. It makes your voice bigger and more rich and more bell-like in quality, but you have to find the resonance. Now, these things are all very important. So I hope that's helped you today. Now, if you need some help, here's the thing. I have some fantastic courses that I've got online on my Kajabi site. There's 3 courses, but here's the exciting news that I want you to know. There's a brand new course that I'm just about to release. It's called Change Your Voice, Change Your Life. The old one was all about psychology and fixing the issues that were creating your voice issue in the first place, but people didn't get it. So I'm going to take that course down. It was only $27, an introductory to what was going on behind the sound of the way that you spoke. So very soon, within the next week or so, that course will be taken down. Anyone who's purchased that course for $27 will automatically get the brand new upgraded version of that course, which will be sold at $97. Now, the upgraded version is voice work, which is secretly what everybody wanted in the first place. You still have to do the psychology, you like it or not. It's very important, but you also need to gain the voice skills to improve the sound of your voice and your projection, to make sure that you know how to look after your instrument and make the best sounds for you. So that course is being completely restructured and loaded as we speak. Meant to be a couple of hours, but I've actually gone a bit overboard. I think it's about 5 or 6 hours in content now, but it's a pretty big sort of fleshed out course now. And at the end, I've got all these voice exercises that I take you through, sort of half singing, half speaking, to really improve your vocal sound and exercise every single day. Now, the online courses by themselves are brilliant. I bought thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of online courses. Believe me, I am a course junkie. I am a event junkie. I love learning. But here's the thing. Sometimes when you learn by yourself, it's a little hard to implement. I've heard one of my coaches actually say, yes, I have more than one coach. I have heard them say that 2% of all the clients that you have in your online courses actually do the work and implement by themselves. Now, I'm guilty. I'm not one of those 2%. I find it so much easier to actually hire a coach and get the feedback and the accountability that I need to drive my goals forward. So that's why I've started a brand new program that goes along with all of my online courses, and it's called The Voice Club. It's been on the planning for a very long time, but today I'm going to give one spot away. We're going to be launching that soon. As soon as Change Your Voice, Change Your Life gets up there and is ready and everything's ready to go, then the next one that I'm going to launch is the Voice Club. And what the Voice Club is, it's for public speakers, singers, actors, anyone who want to improve the sound of your voice for public speaking. Now, let's face it, you might hold your tongue because you don't like the sound of your voice. So many people are in that situation. They hate hearing themselves back on video and audio, so they literally just avoid it. And they don't go out. They're socially anxious. They might be a little depressed, or they might have PTSD or some trauma and anxiety. All of these things affect the way we sound. So in the Voice Club, on a monthly basis, we're going to do one weekend every single month. We're going to deep dive into the voice issues of the people that are on the call with me. Now, every month we'll have a different theme. It might be 1 month around breathing for public speaking or singing or acting. It might be psychology and how we unpack that to make ourselves better speakers. It could be voice work. It could be looking at specific issues like stuttering, stammering, lisps, things like that. We're going to dive into certain aspects every single month, and you get me for 90 minutes a month live for a very, very low price. Now, I'm going to give one ticket away to anyone who desperately needs this today. And what you have to do is go and message me on my voice, 𝐬𝐤𝐬𝐽𝐬𝐻 public figure page. You're going to send a message to my assistant, Ice. It's inside the Facebook page, 𝐬𝐤𝐬𝐽𝐬𝐻 public figure page. Just go to Messenger and send my assistant a message. And I want you to put this #voice below so we can pop it out and I will make sure that my assistant Ice places the Facebook page inside underneath this video as well, so you can actually find it. So when you go to Facebook, if you're on Facebook, great. If you're not on Facebook, you could go to Instagram. If you have Instagram, you could message me on Instagram too. That's the best way. Unfortunately, YouTube doesn't allow you to message, so it's a bit hard to contact people in this way. But if you need help, there are a couple of ways that you can jump in and get help right now. And one is to download the free guide, which puts you straight into our weekly newsletters. Now, everyone on my weekly newsletter will not only get this guide, of course, why people don't listen and how to change that in 5 easy steps. It's about a 5 to 7 page guide. It is super helpful. But once you get that and you get all the tips, then you just go into our newsletter. And the people on my newsletter get the first dibs on the Voice Club and the brand new course, Change Your Voice, Change Your Life, the new updated version of that. And anyone who's already bought that for $27, including this week before it's launched, you will get the brand new one. When I take the old one down, you'll automatically be placed into the brand new course for $97 at no extra cost. Now, if you really want feedback and coaching, and that's what's going to get you over the line to transformation, then the Voice Club is the very first place that you need to be. It's only going to be $49 a month. You can pay in advance for a year and get a discount, but you'll get a massive, massive, massive value out of that. So first things first, download the free guide, because that will get you into our list and make sure that you get news first when the whole thing is launched. Now, if you would like to win one place in the Voice Club, you're going to put #voice below so we actually know that you're interested in this. It doesn't matter whether you're watching this on any of the platforms. If you're on Facebook, you can already message me anyway. If you're on LinkedIn, you can message me anyway, but just put it #below voice just in case so we can actually see it. And then I want you to go and message my assistant on 𝐬𝐤𝐬𝐽𝐬𝐻 public figure page, and we'll put that link below. So that way we know that we've seen each other. I've messaged you. I'll put all those names in a hat, and I'll let you know the winner by next week, same time, same channel. Now, I hope that's helped today. We talked about sound quality, pitch, resonance, all of that, and why people don't listen. So thank you so much for joining me. I love being here and serving you. Thank you so much for your patience with all my mucus issues this morning, which was not enjoyable at all, but I'm almost 100% better, which is fantastic. Oh my God. Being sick is the worst, isn't it? So sending you all lots and lots of love, and I hope to see you next week, same time, same channel. Thank you so much, everyone. Oh, you can see here that is the Voice of Confidence link right there. So once you go to that page, if you want to win the Voice Club membership spot for 1 month for free, all you have to do is go there and then message my beautiful assistant Ice, and she'll help you out. We'll send you a confirmation that we have your application for the Voice Club, and we'll make sure that we put your name in the hat. So we will be pulling out names in the hat next Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. Sydney time. I look forward to seeing you then, and have a wonderful week. It's Elisa James signing off. See you next time.